Hello Scholar Gamer, Akechi is a character in Persona series who is loved by fans for his wit, charm, and deadly skill. On the other hand, the Detective Prince is more complex and complicated characters that initially meet the eyes, and in this video we'll delve into that complexity. His traumatic upbringing only fuels his thirst for vengeance. Don't pass up your chance to get to know one of the most intriguing characters in the Persona universe a little bit better. Akechi was born on June 2nd, 1998. He was one of the child of Masayoshi Shido, who has gotten the name the sex worker pregnant by force. Shido cruelly deserted Akechi and his mother, forcing her to raise him alone despite her depression and financial difficulty. Akechi's mother bravely and selflessly raised him on her own despite the huge challenge. When she invited men from the red light district into their homes, she would send Akechi to the bathhouse alone. Through it all, Akechi wanted to punish Shido for forcing her to have a kid illegally, but he couldn't because Shido had already attained a position of authority. Giving into her sadness, Akechi's mother died of suicide, and Akechi was put in a childcare institution. Because of this, Akechi spent much of his childhood pining for affection. Even as an adolescent, he continued to feel this way. Akechi's pessimistic outlook on life can be attributed in part to the shame he felt growing up as an illegitimate kid. Akechi worked hard to polish himself and build a reputation as a detective prince so that he would be welcomed by the society. At the age of 15, Akechi acquired the wildcard power from an unknown being and was able to go to the metaverse. With this power, Akechi aimed to get close to Shido and eventually expose his crime to the public to destroy Shido's career and claim credit for it when Shido became Prime Minister. Some players may have misunderstood Akechi's motivation. He wasn't out to kill Shido, but rather to humiliate and gain personal profit at his expense. I will provide full explanation and reference to this later in the video. To prove his worth to Shido, Akechi drove several of Shido's political opponents insane using his ability, but did not murder them. I had to add this because it's appeared that the writer is attempting to imply that Akechi is only completely grow into a killer under Shido's tutelage, but turning someone into a vegetable is equivalent to dead to me. So yeah, bad Akechi. Shido, impressed by Akechi's skill, hired him as an assassin to assist his rise to power. Shido, who has some understanding of the cognitive world due to Wakaba Ishiki's study, instruct Akechi on how to cause mental shutdown by altering mementos. Wakaba was one of those killed by Akechi while under Shido commands. Shido handed Futaba, Wakaba's daughter, a fake suicide note and blamed her for her mother's death after Akechi murdered Wakaba and stole her research. Through their work together, Akechi became famous as the second coming of the Detective Prince, after creating controversy involving Shido's opponent and then solving the case. Akechi would personally assassinate any of Shido's opponents who were particularly difficult by causing a mental shutdown on their side. In addition to his work for Shido, Akechi was hired to assassinate targets by Shido's political associate and other powerful personality to eliminate political rival or dissident in exchange for money and influence. As a result of having Akeshi's ability at his disposal, Shido became extremely difficult to stop by conventional legal means. And that's why many individuals hid in fear of having their mind shut off or going mad. Akechi displayed himself to the general public as a polite, affable, modest, and captivating individual. He's so smart and good looking that he's dubbed the second coming of Detective Prince among his fellow students at his high school. The police put their faith in him, and he works closely with Sai Inajima in his investigation. According to the official Persona 5 artbook, Akechi lives alone in the Metropolitan's apartments. His main skill is being able to think things through, and he tends to think too much during the conversation. Some of his favorite pastimes include cycling, bouldering, and training games like Dart. According to his guidebook description, Akechi always makes sure to try out the latest popular dish to use food as a conversation element. He doesn't mind standing in a long line for this. He uses love of cycling as a means of exploring the city and acquiring material to use in adult conversation. Since he spends so much time with the grown-up, he is known in Tokyo's exclusive business and a fine dining establishment, although he doesn't care much for the taste of the food, really. Akechi presents a nice face to the public, but behind the scene, he has quite a different attitude. His mother's suicide left him an orphan at a young age, and he never recovers from his feeling of isolation and longing for companionship. A public hero under the title Detective Prince, he was unhappy because he was not accepted for who he was and expected to behave in a specific manners. Akechi first encountered the protagonist group in public during the Shujin Academy school excursion to a TV station in Akasaka, Misuke, where he is due to appear as a guest on Good Morning Japan. Throughout the games, Akechi criticized the Phantom Thieves, saying that they are an organized group that doesn't operate under the law. Despite his hidden attempt to sway public opinion against the group, Akechi rapidly taking an interest in the protagonist for publicly disputing his position, approaching him after the show and telling him that he's appreciated their chat and hoped to speak with him again someday. From my perspective, this seemed to be genuine. Upon Sai and Nijima advice, Akechi would travel to LeBlanc's, where he would cross paths with the protagonist. Without naming names, he would tell the protagonist about his orphan childhood, the tragic end to his mother's life, and his father's vengeful treatment for her.
Did I bother you? My apologies. Apparently, my mother was in a relationship with some lowlife of a man. She was swiftly discarded when he learned she was pregnant. That despair would lead to her death.
In his day-to-day existence, he might decide to become a regular at the cafe, at which point, the player will have the opportunity to socialize with him. Of course, it's possible that the protagonist and Akechi just made up their entire relationship, but it's pretty real because ka-ching, the game tells me so. As the two of them spend more time with each other, the rivalry between them starts to flourish. Not only that Akechi considered the protagonist to be his rival, he would often engage the protagonist with philosophical questions and have a full discussion with him, showing that he is Walu the protagonist thought. When the Phantom Thieves are at their most popular, nobody would pay attention to what Akechi have to say. His popularity would drop so low that he would be put on the fan side as a target request. However, the conspiracy lead the thief into making Kunikazu Okumura their next target, who is, by the way, is one of Shido's opponents and an impediment in his path. Upon Shadow Okumura defeated, Akechi seized the opportunity to assassinate the Shadow Okumura before his palace collapsed, causing the real Okumura to suffer a mental shutdown and die. People begin to believe that the Phantom Thief killed him as a result. The Phantom Thief are falsely accused of a crime by Shido conspiracy, but Akechi popularity saw as a result of his outspoken opposition on their tactic. In this context, I'd like to discuss how delicate public support is. As people are eager to throw Akechi under the bus, they also quickly turn to support him once again. Even though the public is on his side, Akechi knows this won't be enough to fill his need for love and acceptance. Despite this, he continued to press on like an empty container that yearned to be filled. Needing to cut a loose end after using the Phantom Thief as his tool to get rid of Okumura, Shido asked Akechi to get rid of them. Akechi then confronted the group during the Shujin Academy culture events, using the photo of the thief leaving Okumura Palace to blackmail them. Akechi then told the thief he entered the metaverse a month before and was awakened to his persona when Okumura assassin attacked him. Akechi believed that the birth of his persona, Robin Hood, was triggered by his passionate desire to uncover the truth and share it with the world. Akechi then advised the thief to go after Sai next, saying that if the SIU corner her, she will prosecute the thief even without proof. As a result, he promised to destroy the picture. However, following their final heist, the Phantom Thief must disband forever. With no other option, the group agreed. In reality, Akechi sought to arrest them after they changed Sai hearts, allowing him to kill the protagonist on Shido orders. The Phantom Thief, however, deduced his identities and devised a strategy of their own. For the sake of those viewers who are more interested in the characters than the specifics of the plot, I will skip over this section. A major spoiler is still ahead, so if you don't want to know anymore, you can stop watching now. After Akechi learned he didn't kill the main characters, we will fast forward to his final moment in the vanilla P5. This is the most crucial portion because Akechi is speaking frankly about how he feels and not hiding anything. So if you wanted to understand him, this is where you pay attention. In the engine room of Shido Palace, Akechi faced the Phantom Thief. When suspected of working with Shido, Akechi laughed it off and explained his plot to ruin his father's reputation and career by exposing his illegitimacy and the crime they committed after Shido won the election. This proved he wasn't plotting Shido's death, as some could have suspected.
All this is to make Masayoshi Shido, my father, acknowledge me, then exact revenge on him. Once he reaches the apex of his power and acknowledges me, I will tell him the truth of who I really am. And that's when I, an utter disgrace to the world, will rule over him.
You talk big, but you're really nothing more than a little kid throwing a temper tantrum.
Don't lecture me, you piece of shit! I am going to personally thrust Masayoshi Shido into a living hell.
The conversation then shifts to Akechi expressing his admiration for the protagonist and speculating that they might have become friends had their path crossed earlier. You can tell him it's not too late and they can still be rival, which I guess is the canon answer because it led to the genuine ending. Then Akechi laughed it off, saying that the main character is truly free and does not allow his history to define who he is, as opposed to Akechi himself, whose entire drive and character are determined by his history. We know again that this is how he feels because after the battle, Akechi's resentment, desire for retribution, and inferior complex clouded his judgment, leading him to direct all his negative emotion toward the protagonist. To vanquish the Phantom Thief, he used his berserk power on himself. When he lost, Akechi was badly hurt and let out his frustration. He gave up and cried about how he could never be special to anyone. How what he truly wanted was to be surrounded by people who acknowledge him, and how all his past detective work was all a lie. However, to his dismay, the Phantom Thief comforted him, telling him how strong and special he is, and how they would welcome him back if he wanted to return.
You're so lucky. Lucky to be surrounded by teammates who acknowledge you. And once Shido confesses his crimes, you'll all be heroes. As for me, people will find out my past deductions were just charade. My fame and trust will vanish. In the end, I couldn't be special. Dude, you're more than special.
It pains me to admit, but your wit and strength far exceeds ours. We only defeated you by teaming up.
This includes Haru and Futaba, who, while they do not forgive him for killing both of their parents, do show empathy for his plight because they too have suffered a similar thing. According to Makoto and Futaba, Akechi should have been even stronger than the protagonist if he had used his wildcard ability and formed genuine relationship with people instead of just using two personas. Shido's cognition of Akechi didn't appear, explaining that Shido has planned to assassinate Akechi after winning the election because he was the only remaining threat to him. Akechi's cognition then mocked him, labeling him as Genuine's puppet from the start for not seeing Shido exploiting him. The cognition then offered Akechi a chance to redeem himself if he shoot the Phantom Thief, which Akechi take advantage of by shooting it instead, as well as the control switch, which sealed him off from the rest of the party. Akechi then asked the Phantom Thief one last favor, to put a stop to his father for him. If you progress his confidence far enough, you will have the option to tell him that you will hold on to his glove, letting him know that you will still wait for him.
After all this, that's what you have to say. Seriously, you really are.
As Akechi faces off his equally wounded cognitive self, 2 gunshots sounded, and Futaba is unable to detect any living signature beyond the war afterwards.
His signal is gone. I'm only getting the weaklings.
Shadow Shido confirmed his intention to kill Akechi during his battle with the Phantom Thief, explaining that Akechi's birth disqualified him from holding political office and that he could not possibly keep Akechi alive given his familiarity with the man's history. Shadow Shido bragged about manipulating Akechi with praise and even claimed that Akechi's ability to control his power is completely due to him. It is evident that the author is attempting to place the majority of the blame on Shido, claiming that Akechi was a broken youngster who was being groomed by the more experienced adult. I am aware that occasionally anime characters appear and act much more older than their age, but let's just not forget, when Akechi began working for Shido, he was just a 15-year-old boy. So, my final question to you, Scholar Gamer, is Akechi a product of society and his upbringing, or is he partially to blame as well? The Phantom Thief has forgiven him and shown some sympathy for him. But how do you feel about him? Is he someone you perhaps could forgive? I'm a YouTuber who enjoys reviewing games and creating video essays on various video game topics. On my channel, you'll find contents about JRPG as well as interesting and unusual game information. Check out my channel and stick around if you enjoy engaging with this type of content.